everyone, this is Oracle Oriah, and I am here interviewing a special guest. He is one of our founding members of United Starseeds group, which is a Facebook group that I founded, and he joined us in May. His name is Jason Graham. He hails from Australia, and I'm in the US, so this is really a treat. We finally found our time zones connecting. The reason why he is here today, why I asked him on the show, is I want to talk about his awakening. So he had a very interesting awakening that happened when I started my Facebook group. At the same time, he kind of logged in and found me. And between what I was saying and what he was going through, it was a match. And as soon as that happened, there was like a synergistic explosion of an awakening that he started to realize a lot of things started making sense and clicking in, and it was off to the races after that. And I've been enjoying and watching his progress, his evolution, his unfolding all these months since May. So we're now in October. We just are October 1st, 2020. So you started joining our group in May, right?
Yeah, in May, yeah.
Right when I opened it. So here we go. I am going to just launch. We're going to find out everything about Jason. And for those of you who know him from Facebook, he makes us laugh, he makes us cry, and we make him laugh and cry. He's very special to us. We love him. He's like a part of our family. And he's gotten very close to me and my best friend Erica and some of the people in our little team. So I just welcome you, Jason. I'm so happy to finally talk to you in the flesh.
Namaste. Namaste from Sydney, Australia.
Yep.
How
okay.
Are you?
Well, let me get you started. I would love you to walk me through whatever you feel like sharing. Walk me through what happened right before you found the Starseed group. You were going through some things that were very heavy, and then take us from there, from that moment.
From that moment? Wow. That was just after my 50th birthday. So, yeah, I just basically had a massive breakdown. And I didn't even really know. I was just having, celebrating my 50th in my own way. But little did I know I was falling down big time. And it was
you have two daughters, right?
Yeah, two beautiful daughters, yeah. So, yeah, it was just a combination of so many things. Leading up to my 50th, we were supposed to be going on a cruise. I was just about to see my girls. They're in Victoria. I'm in Sydney. So I hadn't seen them for a long time. I was looking forward to that. Family holiday, 15 days away on a cruise. Then the virus hits, and then that just stopped everything. And I sort of took it personally because, wow, how dare you wreck my 50th, And
right.
It sort of became about that, but at the same time, the disappointment for my family, everyone around me, my friends. And so I just thought, well, you know what, I'm going to have my own 50th. And, yeah, I just sort of pushed it to the limits big time and tried to operate at the same time, and I just knew it just wasn't working. And I suppose that's when I hit reality, and it was just a coincidence that right after my 50th, so that's in April, May, I'm on Facebook just having a look, and then I see your photo and, do you think you could be Pleiadian or something like that? And it was like, that's just my question at the moment, like, wow, I want to learn about that, because I've always had that interest, and always it's been in my heart to know why I'm so interested in what I am, and that I'm not on my own. And you guys have it's sort of developed from there and just become like my second family, and if not emotionally, very much my family. And it's just gone from there. It's just been crazy.
Well, it's interesting. When I was talking to you at that time, I remember I felt your pain. Like, I remember you were going through just a lot of pain in relationship and just with the pandemic and you couldn't even talk about it. You were just really upset, and it felt like it had been building and building and building. And then finally it just like the dam broke. And I was so glad that I was there for that moment, because I was able to show you, this is not the end. This is the beginning, and you're going to start something new. And you were so ready. And then over the course of all the months, the way you have been speaking has changed so much, so dramatically, where before you were kind of just like testing the waters and seeing what I was talking about. But as you kept understanding what was happening to yourself in your own life, you started to see things changing in your own life. And I noticed the way you started talking about things, like all of this wisdom started coming out of you. I mean, I've told you many times, some of your comments are just like, you're like channeling, like, oh my God, just, and you said to me, this stuff has always been inside of me. And I just didn't know I could say it, or I didn't know who to say it to. And this is where we started to find out more about who you really are.
Yeah, well, that's how I feel about it too. It's not a matter of finding myself. I think it's more going back to myself, or stripping back all of the negative energy, because it's gone now for me. But it took me, you know, a really big lesson to get to that stage of realization and what I had to do for myself, because I was just so worried about everyone else, everything else. You know, everything I felt was on my shoulders for some reason. And then all of a sudden, you do dig deep, ask the really hard questions, and you know, that's through counseling, and it's through talking to people. And then I met you, and it was like, oh my God, it's like, even my counselors were saying, wow, Jason, for something that you've been through, you're handling this quite well. And I said, well, I just feel like I've got support around me to get through it. And now that I've dealt with those, you know, the deep down fires that were burning, now they're gone. It's just like,
well, your relationship with your daughters also changed.
Yeah, it changed with I think everyone, just everyone, because once you believe in yourself, and it just shines through. Like, you can see when someone's upset. So, you know, it becomes an instinct to, as an empath as well. Like, you've got to be able to look at yourself as well and say, wow, man, you know, you're not, you all right? Like, so that's when you go inside is where you find your power. It's not like, it's amazing how you think, oh, you look to the stars or to the, you know, whatever you think is you should be looking for, when it's really inside you. It's once you start, you know, building that relationship with yourself again, and letting yourself be able to express your feelings and have those, even, you know, for how many years of your life we're taught, you know, you've got to be like this, you've got to be like that, you know, you can't be like a girl. Like, hang on, you know, what's wrong with girls? Girls are cool. Like, no, you got to be like this, you got to be like that.
Well, that's what I was just going to mention. Your friendships, you know, you've had these friends forever, and you talked a certain way with them all the time, and then here you are changing, and you want to have different conversations, but they're not in that place, the same place. So you were trying to figure out, how do I talk about this stuff with people who don't understand what I'm saying? And what you wanted,
exactly, yeah.
Tell me what you wanted to talk about with them that they couldn't hear, or they're not ready yet.
Meaning my friends?
Yeah.
Oh, look, it's just amazing how even my best friend I've known since school, I'll say, oh, look at that awesome full moon. And he goes, I don't believe in that shit. And you go, oh, you're just a cranky reptilian. But, you know, some people get it, other people don't. Look, I don't believe I'm telling a story. I'm just relaying my experience of my 50 years of how it's got me to here,
right?
Which is a bit of a miracle in itself. But at the same
You were
time,
telling me about your past. You said that you actually were in the arts. You were a dancer and a singer, I think. Did you say
yeah.
singer or just dancer?
I was ballroom dancer for since I was 8 or 9, 10, and then through to my late teens. And yeah, through school I was sang in a choir that sort of that just started off as being in a music class, and then it just developed because, believe it or not, I was a boy soprano, but not these days. And so it just developed from just having a crack, really, and having a talent and wanting to express myself. And that was the thing through ballroom dancing. That came through, it's weird because it came from playing soccer, because friends of ours who weren't so coordinated, their parents were talking and said, you know, we're going to take our kids to ballroom dancing. It might help with the coordination. And oh yeah, and then so our parents went, well, we'll take our boys. So next thing you know, after about 2 or 3 years, they stopped doing it, and we continued doing it and ended up competing and ended up representing, you know, at quite a high level. Not quite professional, but you know, it took up all of our lives. So yeah, that was just an awesome part of my life, you know.
Wow.
And then yeah, and with the choir, that sort of created some sort of dramas for me as well, because you can imagine growing up in Sydney, boys' school. Okay, you're a ballroom dancer, you're in the choir, and so that's where Bruce Lee came into my life.
Ah.
And yeah, so you had to learn how to defend yourself, because you know, there were people who
Wasn't
just.
he a competitive cha-cha dancer?
I could
Bruce
be.
Lee. He was.
Who was that? Sorry.
Bruce Lee.
Oh, he was too. Yeah, yeah. He could do anything, that boy. But yeah. So that part of my life was taught me so many lessons too, of how even with what I'm going through at the moment, I call it my own awakening, and then that way I can join everyone else awakening. You know, you can't just go. You can't just. It's a bit like dancing. You can't look at a couple and say, I want to be like them. I want to dance like them. Well, you've got to learn the steps, haven't you? You've got to. It's how life is. You can't just be that. You have to learn the steps, and that's what I'm doing with you, with basically everyone around me within this environment, because you understand me, you get me. We're all on the same vibe, and I'm learning all the time. It's a bit like, you know, I feel like we used to do the samba, rumba, cha-cha, paso doble, jive, 5 dances in a row.
Wow.
Like, and not stop in
Wow.
competitions. And if you get through to the final, you're doing it like 18, 24 times a day.
Oh
So,
my gosh.
yeah, wow, it's good for your fitness.
Wow.
But yeah, the lessons you learn, like, because when you're young and your parents say to you, all right, we're taking you to ballroom dancing, you go, oh okay. All right, see how that goes. Next thing you know, you're sort of 7 years later, you're competing, and it's just unbelievable. And then same with the choir. Like, that's taken through back in the 80s. We sang with Barry Manilow when he was in Australia. So many different presentations at the Opera House, and just things that you sort of take for granted at the time.
Right.
But you look back and go, wow, the opportunities that I had. And yet at the time, did I really respect it for what it was? Or it's only now that I look back and go, wow, they're my lessons. They're my little things. They're my challenges. I could have said, no, I don't want to be a dancer. But I thought, no, I can do that and play soccer and do this and that. And everything's a challenge. So there comes a time where you can't do everything. But they were awesome times in my life, yeah. And huge lessons.
Well, I think the big change. I mean, I don't know how much we really talked about this. It was, but enough for me to get an idea, is I don't think at the time when I first started talking to you, you realized how all of your life lessons had actually shown you how beautiful your life had been. Because up until the time when we first started talking, it seemed like you were not sure if those were gifts or not of your past, because you had some regrets, like you should have stayed in dancing versus going to sports, things like that. But I feel like you're starting to realize all the gifts that you did have in your life more and more. And that's what I think you're talking about. Is that correct?
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And that was sort of really just the beginning of it for me, because then there was a massive decision where do I go in life, because people wanted me to travel to Western Australia and dance over there and then go to England. And my dream in my life was to be a soccer player or to be a goalkeeper and represent my country. Look, that never happened, and to this day I still play soccer. I've got to play this weekend. So, you know, life has taught me so many lessons through my sport, dance, look, every form of fitness that's got me to where I am now.
That's one of the biggest things I've noticed about you, is that you have been more and more lately reaching towards gratitude of what your life has been about up until now. And I think when you first came to us, there was a period of time where you weren't sure exactly how to look at your life. You weren't sure because you had some difficulties and some pain and some suffering, and you didn't know how to properly view the entirety of your life. And then I noticed you started changing the way you spoke, and you had more gratitude for everything. Did you remember that switch you made when you started talking like that?
Yeah, I do. And I think it's just a realization within yourself that, you know, I started checking myself a lot, and then that becomes just part of how you are. Like, I very rarely have to check my words anymore.
Right. It's like you trust yourself.
Yeah, and a lot of the time when you get to a stage, how I feel anyway at the moment, and I will forever now because I'm at that stage,
right?
That nothing is that bad that it's worth worrying about to the extent that I used to, if you know what I mean. Like, yes, I think there's so many analogies for it, but I used to use it, say, for example, if you wanted to give up smoking or something like that, you would, for me, and we've referred to the river before, or the stream, I think, well, a picture like a leaf just drifting down the stream, and you're watching it, you're recognizing it, you're saying goodbye to it, and it's gone. And so the more you do that with certain things in your life, and most things, because, that's what I was thinking too. Let's face it, like, all of the bad things that happen to us in life, the worst things ever, put them all together, and they're probably, what, 8 or 10% maybe of your life.
It's true.
If that, maybe even, who knows, 5-8%, whatever. But
it's so true what you're saying.
How many times in my life did I focus on that 8-10%,
right,
instead of the 90% that was actually awesome?
And we focus on that because we so badly want to remove that 8%. We don't want it there. So we think if we focus and repeat and focus and repeat and keep going over it, that somehow it'll go away. But it just makes it worse. And so it looks like your whole life is that. But your perspective of what you're saying is right.
Yeah. And I can imagine myself 6 months ago and how I was, and the amount of things that were going through my mind, and what I was trying to solve was just, it was crazy. And I said to myself, self, I can't do this anymore. So basically, I've used so many different avenues to calm myself down and sort of get back to myself. But you guys have done everything for me, and you know that. And that's very much from a healing point of view.
I just needed to be consistent with you. That's it. All I did was keep showing you that you are on the right track, and that you are love, and that you have everything you need within you. And as long as I just keep repeating that, no matter what happens, no matter what you say or do, you at least have one person that stands for you and says, I know who you are. It's okay. And as long as you have that one person, it's like you can get through anything until you can find your own feet. And that's what I started to see. And you did it so fast. Most people drag their feet in this area, and they're reluctant to have big breakthroughs because, you know, it's like you have to face your stuff. You have to face yourself, and you have to face how you've been talking to yourself. It's a really big deal. And you have to be honest with yourself. And you just came to the time in your life. I think your age had something to do with it, and your birthday and the pandemic. You just came to a time in your life where you were ready to have a new conversation, a brand new conversation, just completely new way of looking at life. I think that that's why this all worked.
Well, it was so awesome for me because, like, you're talking to so many different people too, like people who, like our group, what it start off as 100 people or something, and now it's like, wow. But at the same time, back then it was a core group of people who, I'm pretty sure we were all going, wow, this is going to be crazy because we can actually talk and say stuff here that, you know, the stuff that's on our mind. And it just developed from there for me, but more at the start for me, very healing, because it was confirmation that, like you say, that I did have somewhere that I could go to, and I did religiously every afternoon. I would just, you know, thank my lucky stars that I had people to talk to, because when you're going through all of that stuff internally, you need an outlet as well. And you guys are that and will be that. And it's just, and I'm learning. That's the best thing, I'm learning.
Is there any people you would like to give shout outs to right now?
Well, awesome. There is obviously Christy. Christy is just like the sister that I've never had. Aww. Because I come from a long string of boys. So to have friends and women, because women have always been in my life. You can imagine from ballroom dancing, it's just in your life. So it's natural for me to relate to women, which a lot of people sort of find a little bit maybe offensive, but it's just part of my life. But Christy, very much. Brenda is just amazing because she did something very special for me, and I didn't even know it. We were just talking and just about how we are and just things. And then she mentioned my parents, and we were just talking about exactly that, family. And then it was probably about 10 minutes later, she said, oh, well, anyway, I've got them here. And I went, you've what? She goes, yeah, they're sitting here next to me on the lounge. And I went, you serious? And she said, yeah.
And your parents, did your parents already transition?
Yes,
okay.
They have. And my grandparents. And I went, oh, okay. And she said, oh, there's someone here in a wheelchair. And I went, you are kidding me. Oh, my God, that's my Uncle Peter. And she's saying, oh, they're laughing at you. And I went, hey, you can't say that. They're laughing at you. Yeah, they love it. Oh, they're laughing at your shirt. And then they said, oh, and watch out for tomatoes. And we thought about that. What do you mean, watch out for tomatoes? And so we thought about it. And then the next day it came to me because my father couldn't eat tomatoes because it caused gout. And that was the message, you know, be careful. You're so much like your father. No tomatoes for you.
Right. You know,
so, yeah,
that's incredible.
Through Brenda. through Brenda.
What a great message. And a little side note, I read that tomatoes are very, very hard on your digestion because they're the only enzyme that can break the stomach walls, and you can get leaky gut syndrome.
Yeah.
Do you believe that?
No tomatoes for me.
No tomatoes, yeah. Okay, so wow, Brenda. Yeah, she's good. She's given me a couple impromptu messages that were very accurate as well. So
wow.
Great.
And then even like say 5 days later, she'll go, "Oh, by the way, Nana said da da da." I went, "See, can you stop talking to my family?" But no, it was fun. It was just awesome. Like, and that gave me another realization of, wow, now I know that, because I've always felt people around me and the confidence from my family that have passed away. I've felt them there, but it's to actually know, and all you have to do is open yourself up to them. You don't have to, like, that's what it's all about. Open yourself up. And then once
that's really it, Jason. And you know what? That's your specialty. That's why I called you to be on the show, is because that's who you are. You are open, and you're very free and very loving, and you don't hold back. You don't hold that back. And that is what everyone loves about you, is that you share openly how you feel. And I wish more and more people would be like you in that way. You know, this just open. And it's a beautiful thing.
Well, that's the thing. Like, for a lot of years as boys, we were told not to.
Right.
We weren't allowed. So, "Dave, you can't say that. Look, how's this?" It took me years and years and years. I reckon till I was about 16 to even say the word beautiful. I thought that the word beautiful was just, nah, that's too girly, if you know what I mean. Like,
of course.
And it just grew up in this mentality, especially in a boys' school mentality of, you know, you're the tough boy, so you can't show that side. And yeah, look, you know, and talking about school was where I sort of, a lot of my other gifts, so to speak, came through. And so I
did you know back then that you were different than your classmates, in the sense that you were more sensitive, or you felt more, or do you think you were just more open about it?
No, I knew pretty much straight away from when I was at primary school, and because I just felt that, and I didn't feel it, it was just the way I was to protect the weak. Is if I spotted someone who was struggling or upset or something was wrong, that was my job to make them okay, you know. And not just that in life, but if I saw that, and I still do it now, if I see something, my instinct is to say, can I do something about it? If I can't, what can I? So yeah, I felt myself as an empath, even from the start. And then that showed, I suppose, through school, where I was lucky enough to be school captain. And then that showed through, you know, that just said to me that, you know, I'm heading in the right direction of dealing with my feelings, I suppose, and just being honest. And
sorry, go ahead.
And just, if I saw something bad happening, it was my instinct to try and stop it. And I don't know why that was, but I lived all through school doing the same thing. And even in high school, I was always there to you know, like, our school was predominantly Australian white. So if there were anyone different that went to our school, they tended to get a bit of treatment. And it was our job, even though it was to play sport and go to school, but we felt it was part of our job to make sure that the minorities were okay as well, because we could see the bullies, and we just went, nah, we're not putting up with that.
Yeah.
So it was just drifts in and out of your life, and when it does, you just embrace it, and at other times you just go with the flow.
And I don't find it a surprise at all that your soul requested to have two girls as your daughters so that you can tap into that and be in your feminine. I think that's one of your greatest qualities, honestly.
Yeah, I've never really thought about it in that way, but it's been, to have them is just the most amazing thing in my life. And because you could quite easily be that person that says, oh, I wish I had a boy, or oh, I should have kept trying for a boy. Well, no, that they're my two beautiful star seeds, and that's what God has given to me and to us. So I'm happy with that. And whether they would have boys or girls, but they have definitely, they tap into me as well. So we bring it out in each other.
One of the
And
things,
hopefully,
oh, sorry, I'm
other people
interrupting you.
too.
I don't mean to.
You're right. That's okay.
Oh, one of the things that I noticed about you that is a redeeming quality that I love is that even while you're going through your process, and even though you are learning and you're still kind of in the court, I noticed that you're very available to people to help carry them across the river. You put them on your back and you carry them, even if you don't even have a lot of experience, you don't really know exactly what you're saying or doing in that way, because this is all relatively new. But I love how you take people on and you give them encouragement, and you'll give them whatever advice you have that you've experienced, and it's so heartfelt and people really feel you, and I love that.
Well, yeah, but I think I'm giving back to what people have, what people have done for me, because
Right.
like, we read a lot of things, and that's what we're all about, reading information. But reading is one thing, but actually taking it in and absorbing what someone is saying is another thing. And when I talk with you guys, it's on so many different levels. So I tune out of where I am today here, because I can imagine things just
It's
from
like
a
telepathy.
different perspective.
Right. You're like putting yourself in their shoes. You're being empathic and telepathic, and you are like kind of, you can feel where they're coming from. So it's easy for you to share what worked for you. But I always want
Yeah,
to
yeah.
I want to use you as my poster child to tell you there's a lot of people who are going through it and they're new and they're just trying to understand their life and their awakening, but they're afraid to help people. They're afraid to help other people because they don't think they have the right information, or they don't really think that they're qualified. But that's what I want to point out, is that it's not about that. And you just share openly where you're at, and people really love it. That's another reason why I wanted you to talk today, was for people to hear that even though this is since May, just a few months ago, that you kind of had your big awakening, you turned around so fast and started picking up the next guy to help them. And I want other people to be encouraged that if you can do it, like other people can do it.
Yeah, well, it's that it just comes within yourself. Like, I just get these feelings now that I've so happy with myself and sort of moving on from a lot of things, that all I can really do is trust my feelings. So if I read something, someone says, wow, this has happened or whatever, like, I've got so many references, I've been to everywhere, that I just go, wow, I totally understand. I get it. And you know
Right.
what? I reckon, for what it's worth, hey, what about this? It's not really, I'm not here to advise. It's just really my opinion. And hopefully that's just doesn't come across as an opinion, but just more, hopefully, a few wise words, or, I wouldn't say anything that sort of wouldn't come from my heart, if
Well,
you
that's
know
what
what
I
I mean.
was just going to say. I was just going to say that. And so because it's heart-centered, your language is, of course, coming across in perfect wisdom, because the heart is love and love is intelligence and wisdom. So when you speak from your heart, you speak in your intelligent wisdom, and that's the highest form of communication. And so that's another reason I wanted to bring you on. I had all these reasons. I told you I had a lot of reasons. Is I wanted people to understand the way you're doing it is just natural. It's just coming from the heart. And then people are so like thankful that you said whatever you said to help them. And all you're doing is just speaking from your heart. To you is very simple, and you're not trying to be very, you know, there's no levels or anything. You're not trying to be something that you're not or whatever. You're just being in your heart. It's the point that I want to stress so much about this work, is there's no levels and there's no hierarchy and there's nobody is better than anyone. It's just about how you can articulate, how you can share your experiences, and the way you can say it in a way that people can understand you. And that's how you talk. You're very clear. And you mentioned something, I think, about that one time we were talking about, that you like being very clear for people to really understand what you're saying. You remember telling me that?
Yeah, I do. Once again, I think it's, I suppose, even having a comment, and obviously that's always going to be positive, but that creates a conversation too. So it's, you can see the flow of certain conversations and where it goes and where it takes you. And that's just one thread of one comment. And you read through those comments and it's just the one message all the way through. And it's of love, confidence, you know, be there for each other. It doesn't, we're all at different stages.
Right.
But it doesn't matter. Like, if I see someone who's new and I might say, hey, you know, I hope all is good, but that doesn't mean that doesn't mean that they're not more advanced than what I am in any way. You know, it's more, you've got to be there just like you guys were there for me. And that's,
I always think the more simple, the better. I always think not to complicate things, to speak very simply, because that's where people are listening from. They're listening from their heart anyway. Even if they're angry people, even angry people or hurt people still want to hear love. Who doesn't want to hear love? If it's authentic and you can feel it, then you know it's real. I mean, people don't like to be lied to. So if you are being fake and trying to help people, but you really don't care about them, they will feel that. And so when you speak from your heart, you just are being yourself, and they can really, really feel you. And that goes a long, long way. So you're kind of like a spokesperson in a way for me, as being somebody who is so new to the whole idea of transformation and awakening. And yet you took the bull by the horns. You immediately started to help people and turn things around in your own life. And then you started to really give back right away. At the same time, you're drinking at the drinking pool, but you're also giving water instantly. And to me, this is a sign of a very advanced healer. So you think that you're very like new, you know, like you just started out, this and that. But how I see you as very advanced, like a very advanced healer. And if anybody were to ask me who's the most advanced healer in your group, if you were to pick one out, I would say you're one of the most powerful healers we have. And you don't know that. And I waited till now to tell you. And for those of you who are wondering who I am, that I am saying this, is I'm a shaman for the last 10 years with my husband, who's a shaman, and we run and operate a private healing center in Malibu, California, and have helped thousands of people around the world. And we travel and do retreats internationally before COVID, of course. And my husband is a world-renowned trance channel, and so we do private and public circle of lights where he does trance channeling in front of hundreds of people and give messages, etc. So we've been doing deep transformational work, and I do trauma life coaching. So I come with experience when I say what I just said. So the reason I can say it so boldly is because I was you at one point, and I was the kid that didn't really think that I was anything special, in the sense like I didn't have this ability to teach and all this, you know, and I felt like I was not the person to look at to be given information to people. But everybody kept coming back for more, and they wanted to know more about what I thought about things. And what I started to gather over the years is because I talk from my heart. I just am authentic. I just speak plainly, and I say exactly how I feel. So people feel that, and they feel that resonance, and they understand that this is authentic. So it's very unusual to come across somebody who, like yourself, just started out, is brand new, and already is coming immediately from this place, which tells me that you were born this way. You came all the way through from the beginning. When you were a small child, you were already on this path, and you were a healer all this time, and you were an empath all this time. And now all I needed to do was just tap you on the shoulder and say, hey, Jason, are you awake? Are you awake? And then you said, hey, Oriah, were you talking to me about this? Why are you talking to me about this? And I said, because it's time. You can wake up now. All I did was gently awaken you from your slumber, and you awoke and realized that it was time for you to come out and speak. And you didn't even know that that's what was happening, but I knew that was what was happening. And I knew which type of healer you were, and I knew what type of communicator and empath you were. And I told many people already about this, what I'm saying to you now, but I never told you because I wanted to wait till now. I wanted to wait to put you on the hot spot.
I'm happy you feel that I'm at that spot. That's awesome.
Yeah, because it's so easy to be a healer. The number one component that you need is love. That is it. You need love. If you want to add more skills to that, and you want to add more talent, you know, knock yourself out, enjoy yourself. You can be as talented as you want to be. But if you're not coming from love, and you're not authentic in your expression, then you are not being a healer. That's not what's happening. You're doing something else. So this is what I like to always encourage people when I'm talking to them. I'm trying to encourage for them to bring their true self out so that we can all see the beauty. But there's a lot of times they're angry and upset and resentful, and they're not happy with their lives, and so they're not ready yet. So with you, it was like you were like one of those ripe fruit that were just ready to explode. So it was so easy. I just barely touched you, and you went, boom. Remember how much you used to cry?
I still do. I still do.
That's how you know you're full. You're just so full to the brim, and you've been holding this in for all these years. You just turned 50. It's your big marker. It's your big year that you're turning, and it's a big deal to turn 50. And so it was like you knew that it was time, and you knew it was time for you to speak. And so that's why I'm not surprised within only a few months of you introducing yourself to us, only a few months later, you were already starting to communicate to other people and helping other people within like 3 months. There was only like 3 months that you were like needing a lot of TLC and confirmation. And then you just instantly started jumping on board. And you know what's so funny is that's exactly how I was. So the second I got out of my personal hell and woke up, or I got out of my coma, whatever you want to call it. In my case, it was like a personal hell. So when I woke up, the first thing I did was I grabbed the nearest person who would listen to me to tell them, let me tell you what just happened to me. Now, I haven't stopped doing that. I've been doing that now for 10 years solid, longer actually, but as a shaman. So that freshness, that newness will never die. You'll always have this. It's always going to be something new. You'll always be at a new precipice. You're always going to be at the edge of the diving board. You'll always be going up higher and higher in your own evolution. And it's always going to be just as exciting. You're never going to have a dull moment. You're always going to be at the leading edge of your creations of time. You'll be right at the edge of your creations. So I wanted to save all this to tell you in person. So, wow. So you really get it. Because I know that if I were to have messaged you and told you this, you would have maybe not believed me 100%. You could have maybe swept it away a little bit.
No, look, I'm
Would you have
glad
believed me?
well, I'm just thankful for everything that you've done for me and what everyone's done for me. I don't really see it as something that I've done. I've just
Well,
more.
it's just beautiful to be able to acknowledge each other. Like, for instance, you acknowledge me all the time. Now imagine if I brushed it off and I didn't let that acknowledgement land. It's not good for me or you. So it's good to allow somebody who's a guide or somebody who's, if it was a ballroom teacher telling you that you did the steps that were accurate. So that's the kind of feedback I'm giving.
That's a good way of putting it. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm giving you feedback, and I'm doing that because I see how serious you are in your heart to help people. And I see how much it means to you to help somebody get through a hard time, even if it's just verbally. You're just writing and saying whatever you need to say to encourage people. So you're the poster child that I would like everybody to understand. Sometimes the one who's making you laugh, the joker in the group, could be the actual healer, the teacher in the group. It's not who you think it is. It's not the very hoity-toity, front of the class person. Sometimes those are the ones that actually are struggling. So that's why I'm making such a big deal about you, is because of what you represent and how you can help a lot of people who already feel just like you do right now, and they don't give themselves permission to come out and speak because they think they're not going to be taken seriously or people won't hear them. But if you come from your heart, like you do, Jason, you can see the impact that you have had on people. So now you're starting to get your first lesson in being a teacher or a healer, which is to be able to listen to the healer teacher that's teaching you and take that information quickly, process it, and be really good with it. Because I could see where it would be hard for you to hear this if you don't know exactly this bigger picture I'm creating for you. That was a mouthful.
Wow.
I said a lot. I've been wanting to say that.
A lot. That's pretty awesome. I at the moment I'm just full of love and just expressing it rather than holding it back. And I suppose over years and years and years of holding it back, or when you're allowed to, when you allow yourself to just feel how you feel, well, that just opens up not a can of worms, but so many opportunities, so many, when you just allow yourself to be you for that moment there, right now, this second, because we worry about so many other things when it should be about right now. And that's how I feel. And when I feel love all the time, well, I can't help but to be positive and pass that on, because we've all been in those spots where you don't feel like you have it. You're wondering where you're going to get that from. And then you find it within yourself, and it goes from there. And it's just awesome to experience it with everyone. And if my positive words are anything for anyone, well, it makes me feel even better.
If there's people that feel that they can't do what you're doing, it is totally understandable. And it is totally understandable to be afraid to share how you really feel. And it's not shocking. It's the majority of people are afraid to say how they feel about another person, especially if it's through loving words. They're so scared of being hurt. And the greatest healers among us are the ones that have experienced the most pain. And that's because we really understand. And if we have survived it and come this far, it's a big deal. So that's even more of a reason why people need to hear your words. And so for people out there that feel like they don't have anything to share, it just, start small and, you know, say the little things that come to mind that you want to say to help somebody feel better. And you can just start from there. In Jason's case and in my case, we were like, you know, you take the soda that's like the fizzy soda and you shake it and then you pop the top and it just goes out. Mm-hmm. That is similar to how I also had my awakening, was very much like you did, which we were so built up, the pressure cooker. And so when the top came off, we just blew. And then that's why we were so open and so vocal. But some people don't feel that way. They don't feel they can just do it like that. They feel that they have to be more careful and watch their words. And for those people, I would say, you know, it's okay to take your time in learning how to help another person. You don't have to rush through it, and don't make yourself wrong, and don't say negative things to yourself. Like you don't want to hurt your own feelings. So don't say anything that will stop you from helping someone else. Just acknowledge that it's just going to take you a little bit more time because you're just nervous, but that's okay to be nervous. Mm-hmm. It's okay to be nervous. I mean, we all have to start somewhere. And if you want to be a healer or you want to help people, you know, there's no one way and there's no rules and there's no perfect way to start. It's just you start wherever you are. And the more authentic, the more open you are when you share yourself, this is where people are going to benefit the most. And so you have here on one side, you have a veteran who is saying exactly the same thing that you are saying, and you're just starting out. You see how our conversation is the same. That's why I always told Jason, I am no different than you. We're all in the same boat, because if you're speaking the same language of love, it's eternal. So there is no stages of hierarchy. There's no, just because I've put 10 years in, doesn't mean that I can't speak the same language Jason is speaking. Jason is speaking exactly the same language I'm speaking. We're speaking the same. It's just heart-centered. I'm taking up all your speaking time.
No, that's fine. No, I love hearing your voice.
Okay, go ahead. You can say some things now. I feel so bad. I've been talking so much.
No, you're fine. You're fine. All good. Okay. But I think, look, everybody's different. Their upbringing is different. I was always like a Star Wars boy. Just Battlestar Galactica. Like, the whole thing for me was, all right, isn't it amazing how, like, you're born, everyone looks after you, worries about you, cares for you till you're 4 or 5, and then you're sort of up and running. Next minute, they're putting you in a school and you've got to learn this, 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 and this. So for me, it was like, I always thought that, you know, from when I could actually read, that, or watch videos, or back then, whatever they were, movies, Star Wars, I thought that that's how life could be. Yeah. I thought, I am Han Solo. Like, that's what I'm going to do. And then life says, oh, no, you've got to go to school over here and learn that. And I'm like, no, I want to, if you know what I mean. And no. So I wanted to be that. Like, and so as life sort of took me down life's avenue of my life, it was totally different to what my perception of what life could be, you know, and I think it could be like that in the future too, because we should be teaching our young ones all the stuff that we're trying to learn now, or because I think isn't it amazing how when you're born, you think that the baby is there for the mother and the father, whereas of course the baby's there for mum and dad, but where were we taught that we actually made that decision ourselves too? Mm-hmm. You know, like, yes, it's awesome to be the child, but if we were taught our actual that could have been our decision as well, that just brings a whole new, bring a whole new picture.
That's right. Yeah, you in the driver's seat. You're not a victim to your circumstances. Yeah, you're not a victim anymore. You start to take responsibility for your creations, even at the soul level. And why would you not want to? I mean, that's the ultimate Han Solo, is to be really in your own power.
That's right.
Yeah. So, Jason, if you were to give any advice, and I know that you've been giving advice this whole time, but if you were to give any advice to people who are wanting to let go and finally realize that they're safe and it's all love, what advice would you give them to help them just to start the process of letting go? What do they have to do inside themselves?
Well, within themselves is just be honest with your own feelings, and understand that there will be bad feelings, thoughts, but that is the yin and yang. Like you're never gonna, it's never gonna be just one or the other, and it shouldn't be either. It's not what happens, but how you deal with it. So yes, expect all the bad things, the good things, but if we blend them together and involve our positive thoughts and feelings more often, the bad times don't tend to hit you as hard, or because you're one step ahead. You're creating your own possibilities, your own future. You're not just going with the flow, and you're actually choosing minute by minute or second by second how you feel. So it's no one else's. It's yours. And then once you're happy with that part of you and going, wow, I can have confidence in how I feel. Like I've been told not to feel that way, but I do. So share that and be positive. And that's all you can do, because within a few words, people can maybe hear something different. Like you might say, just have please, go and get some sunshine and have a great day. Well, they might, into that, they'll read, I'm here for you, and if you need to talk, so, and I imagine words within words too, because it's easy just to write something, but, and then you read between the lines, and if it's all about love and being there for each other and raising that vibration, there's only one way we can do it, and it's all together. And the other thing too is stay away from mainstream media and don't worry about all of that. Honestly, it got me so, I thought this virus was out to destroy my 50th, and in a way it did, but because those particular things that didn't happen in my life, that created other things that did. So you really, it's hard. It's always hard to say, always look on the bright side of life. But if you don't, you will not go ahead.
Right.
If you cannot see the best in something, and what, it doesn't matter how good that is, but the best in something, well, you're really not giving yourself every chance to really excel. You're sort of just putting up with, oh yeah, that'll do.
That's mediocrity. Yeah. I really appreciate your words, and that was very, very beautiful. And for everybody out there, I hope you take to heart from the mouth of babes. I just had to say that because you're older than me, so it made me laugh.
Yeah.
I'm 47, so you're not too much older than me. But
well,
I want to say that I definitely know we should definitely have you back again in the future to share more information, and maybe you could even take questions from people and just give your opinion, because your advice is very good. So we'll see what happens. Are you
for that? Yeah, that's cool. That's cool, because I'll be there for anyone, because you guys are there for me, and that's how we work. We're a team.
That's true. And we are a team. We are a very big, global, galactic team. So everyone, I just want to thank you so much for tuning in. And for those of you who know Jason from the beginning, I know this was such a treat. And we would love to hear from you. If you can comment below, Make sure you subscribe and like. It helps us keep everything going. I do this out of the kindness of my heart. So it's just, you know, it takes time to do all of this. And I just, I appreciate when you guys give back by, you know, doing that. You know, I wanted to bring something up here that I wanted to talk about. And this is my forum. I think this is a great chance to talk about it. You know, I have contemplated if I should be one of those people that charge via YouTube, and then you can click and then you're paying for your comment to be featured or something. And there's different ways you can donate. And I thought, God, that's so against everything I believe. Like, I really just don't believe in that. And I just don't feel good doing it. I do feel good charging for certain things that require in-person 8 hours or 2 hours on the phone doing deep coaching. You know, those kind of things are different for specialties. But these type of how-to videos, these kind of infomercials, these interviews, my weekly shows, like all of this, you know, it takes time to edit and film and do all of this, and I do it myself. And I know everybody benefits, but I don't feel comfortable receiving money, and I never will. I'm never going to ask for it. But what I do ask for is to share these videos with your friends and family, and to comment and to help me to keep these videos coming forward so more and more people see them in the algorithms. That to me is extremely important. And that's all I ask. I don't need anything else. I just need that. And so if you guys can do that for me, that would be really great. I've never asked before like this, but I feel like this is a good time to ask. So
That's
you. So thank you guys. Thank you everyone. Thank you, Jason, so much. This was a long time coming, and I'm so excited we finally got to talk.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Namaste.
And thank your Starseed daughters, and that they're a part of your life. They're very special and very, very sweet. So, and that's it. So this is the end of our time. Namaste, everybody, and we will catch you later. Much love. Bye.
See ya.